Hello, coming to you from the Culturehub. We have got Axicom's Muslim community on the line to get under the skin of what Ramadan really means for our people and what it's really like. And we wanted to understand a little bit more about the personal touch, the insights you never get when HR typically give you some instruction of how to be inclusive at this time of year. So here joining me on the call, we've got Azim, we've got Amira, we've got Kabita. And we're just going to keep this really conversational, guys, because I want to ask some personal questions. I don't want to make it awkward. But just to understand from the three of you, obviously you've had very different upbringings, you come from different families. So for you guys, what does Ramadan actually mean for you? Who wants to go first?
So for me, Ramadan is about stepping back from the cycle of constant consumption. It forces me to be hyper aware and basically focus on my own discipline in times of strength and weakness as well. It's more than just about the physical fast. It's an opportunity to reset, basically.
I love that concept of reset. I always use it as a nice way to check on my weight on a cultural, human level, right? Because Islam is it's more than just a religion; it's a way of life. It's how we've been brought up in terms of there is guidance for everything that we do in our day to day, like how we wake up, how we talk, how we act, how we wash, how we eat, everything, right? So Islam is ingrained in terms of what we do. So even in this context, like, oh, Ramadan, great time to lose some weight, which is probably one of the biggest myths of this, is that, oh, you're going to lose weight, you're not eating. Actually, it's probably worse. You actually end up putting weight on, not least because of the schedule, right? Because you eat and then you go to sleep, and it's the worst thing you can do from a body perspective in terms of digestion. Obviously, over the course of the period of the day, that it's great and you burn loads of energy, you burn loads of calories, but still, it's hard to do so. But for me, Ramadan is I think similar to Kabita, right? It's that moment to just stop and just think, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it actually worth it? Is it something that you need to refocus, change your priorities? And it's all done out of choice as well, right? We don't have to fast. The beauty of being a human, you have a choice. You can do something, you don't have to do something. And that's why it's such a important and spiritual part of our religion, because it's a choice that we make. People can walk into a dark room and pretend and eat and like, oh, you know, I'm keeping my fast, and come out of the room and you're great, right? Because your mum, your dad, your wife, your husband, your sister will never know about it. But you know that if you believe, then there is someone looking and watching and seeing. So as a human, you make a choice. As an adult, you make a choice that, okay, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to have my medicine. So it's a great reminder of why we are here, or the bigger picture of things.
I also think the other 11 months in the year, there is no kind of opportunity to really restart. So unless something as important and as kind of strict as Ramadan happens, I won't be able to sort of think about my habits or have a path or an outlet maybe to actually step back from it, or step back from whatever habits that I know I should stop, but I don't, just because on a day-to-day, it's quite hard to do it all, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I would just add on, I agree with it being a time to sort of like refresh, step back, and restart. I think lately, this is probably more in the last couple of years, the concept of like hangriness started, right? Where like people would be like, oh, I need coffee, or like, oh, I need this. And I think for me personally, like I'm a heavy coffee drinker, like rely on that to get through the day. And so it's always like a good check-in for me of like, okay, your day is not going to go horribly because you didn't have a 2 p.m. coffee. Like you are okay because you didn't have like a snack. Like, yes, you get tired, but it's less about like, I think sometimes maybe even we don't realize in the consumption, like Kobita, as you were saying, of like your day revolves around food a lot of the times. Like a lot of the times, like going to meet friends or like going out to lunch with coworkers. And so it is a big refresher, not only from like a faith perspective, but also that like, oh, I don't need to be fully controlled by like food and coffee. It kind of like frees you in a different way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to come across as like just a complete addict, but it helps me at least because to Cobbs's point, yeah, just a wee bit. But to Cobbs's point, it's like unless there's like maybe a death in the family or something that's happening to you that's like causing you to sort of like refocus on your faith. This is like the one time a year where I feel like we call God Allah, like gives you a chance to be like, okay, like rethink, like repause, refresh. Where are you at? And like your deen, which is like your faith, like where are you with like praying? Where are you with all the other things? I think it's a good forcing function to pause and reflect.
Kaze, I love that point about the coffee. For me, same, right? Usually I cannot operate without a coffee. And I can't operate without my cigarette, either in the morning or after food or before I go to sleep. Whereas now it's like, yeah, I haven't had a coffee for some time now. Like I actually stopped it last week because I was struggling with not going back to sleep. And even with the cigarette, right? Like usually it's a case of you're craving it. People have the patches, people have the chewing gum. Not thinking about it at all until obviously as soon as that first date goes into my mouth or the water, the first thing I want to do is go and have a cigarette as opposed to have any food. But yeah, it's a strange one.
Thank you guys, that is very insightful, and I'm already learning a lot about the self-control, the self-reset, and this a much bigger pause in time and what it means to you guys as individuals. But tell me, you're obviously holding down day jobs whilst observing Ramadan. What is it like working and fasting?
Two big challenges for me, both of them related to time, is because we start the fast just before sunrise. At the moment, that's like 4:09 or 4:10 in the morning. You have to make a choice then, is like, do you go back to sleep for a little while and then wake up again and start the whole thing again, or do you power through until the end of the day, knowing that obviously during the work week you cannot have a nap during the day, right? I guess you could, it's part of our intelligent working processes, but in most cases it's going to be very difficult, right? Especially the post-nap grogginess of like, oh my god, where am I? And interestingly, this Ramadan I've split it. So the first 2-3 weeks I powered through, and that was because the fast started at like 5:15, right? Every day it moves earlier by about 2 minutes because of the sunset, sunrise. That's a really big challenge in terms of adjusting, because technically then you're doing 16-hour days or 14-hour days working, because in the morning then it's a case of either you choose to do work or you end up doing some reading or you listen to something, but your brain is active. And then for me, the other part is the back end of the day. After about 3 o'clock, I am not as sharp, not as clever, not as with it. Yes, okay, you would question whether I'm sharp anyway, but yeah, I genuinely do lose some of my superpowers after 3 o'clock. And like it's 3 o'clock now, right? It's halfway through a sentence, you're like, oh, what was I doing? Or you struggle to focus on something. I'll have like 7 or 8 decks open because I cannot concentrate on one thing. It's difficult, and your mouth starts to get dry. You start to get a bit tired, lethargic. You could easily go crawl into the corner in the UK office and just fall asleep on the sofa if you could. That's a challenge. And obviously with US clients, it's difficult, and you're working so much with US colleagues, it can be challenging.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the time zones can be challenging. I know we didn't really give an intro, but I'm on the West Coast. I'm in California, and I have clients that are on the East Coast. So you kind of end up, like to what Austin was saying, when you're waking up and then it's like, okay, if I don't go back to sleep, do I just start working? We don't really all of the time have the flexibility because of client demands to be like, okay, well, because I started working at 6:30, I'm going to sign off at 1 or 2. That's just not a reality, because clients still expect you to be available and around, and the rest of the team needs you. And so I think in a perfect world, it would be great to be able to take that hour nap or 2 hour nap around 2 o'clock when you really feel like you're struggling and lagging. But a lot of the times, just from the demand of the business, you just can't, and that doesn't happen. And that can be really tiring. I would agree that I think the afternoon and evening time is one of the hardest. Another thing that's just more so something that's personal to me with this Ramadan is this is the first time. So I grew up in Oregon, born and raised there. My family's there. My big community is there. And I moved to the Bay Area about a year ago. And fasting solo is much different than being around an environment where like your parents are doing it, your family is doing it. Like my whole friends had known me for 30 years. So they all knew that like Ramadan was like a big deal for me, right? We would do other things, or they would wait and have dinner with me later. Being in the Bay Area, like, yes, there's a big community here, but it's still new to me, and like no one really knows me or like my values, and so I'm like doing it alone. That has been way harder than in years prior. This is like the second time that I've been doing it solo, so that has been also something that is tough, where it's like, yeah, to Asim's point, it's like I could just not do it and no one would know. I would know. But it is different than like I envy my cousins that are in like Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, and it's like the whole country kind of like morphs to this, and everyone is with you. Shops are closed, right? Like you feel the whole like that your priority changes. But when you're in like the hustle and bustle of like the daily American life is still the same, but you're different, is very challenging.
That makes sense. Cobbs, what about you?
So I relate to both Asim's points and Amira's points. I think for me, it's the most difficult part would be the fact that it feels like a juggling act, where both working and fasting are demanding in their own ways. So it almost feels like I don't know when to stop. There's always something to do. There's always another task, another challenge. There's always more to do when it comes to both working and fasting. So for me, the hardest part has been being able to stop and mentally being okay with it. So whether that's to do with work or any activity that I'm doing regarding fasting or my faith this month. And I also don't live at home, so the first couple of weeks, similarly to Amira, it didn't feel as wholesome as it should have. I think, well, I'm at home now with my parents and my family, but obviously when everyone is fasting in your house, you're all hungry, you're all thirsty. By the time it's time to break your fast, everyone's at the dinner table. So it's definitely a different experience doing it alone, and you don't really feel the sense of community when you are alone. So yeah, those two things have been
I've never had a Ramadan by myself.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, I was going to say it's really hard. It's hard.
I was saying, sounds very negative, but I guess one of the pros of the fasting and work is that early morning start. I personally find like I get 2-3 hours of solid concentration time where there's no pinging of teams, there's no meetings, there's no ask for can you review this, can I double check that with you, or last minute requests coming in. So I've enjoyed those 2-3 hours. They've enabled me to become very, very productive. Probably on the flip side, annoying to other people who are seeing emails from me at 4 o'clock in the morning or Teams chats from me at 4-5 o'clock in the morning, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's definitely helped. But obviously, once again, that was a choice I made. I could have gone back to sleep, but it made sense for me, and I thought it was great.
Good. Now, I appreciate you are all giving me your precious time on the subject of time, and you all have meetings straight after this, so I want to make sure that we get through all of the important stuff. And one of the most important questions to me is, what are some of the most ridiculous, funny, odd questions that you've been asked about what it's like fasting? And don't say they've come from me, please, Asim.
Not even water?
Yeah.
Not even water.
That's always
That takes the crown.
Yeah, I think some people have thought that we fasted for the whole 30 days, like straight shot. Like it was just a full month. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. Like, I would not be like standing here after like literally a day.
Wow.
Yeah,
30 days straight.
yeah. There's always the whys, and that cannot be good for you. It's like, well, it's been happening for like 1450 years, so actually, pretty sure it's okay. I know that you see these days in terms of the intermittent fasting from health experts, it's like, actually, this is good for you. So, yeah, that. But water for me is great. I've also had the classic, what if I was to like hide you in a corner and would you eat? Is that going to be okay? It's like, yes, but no. He's all seeing, all knowing, so like we're not doing it for other humans, we're doing it for the man upstairs. That's always a classic one. Or the funny one with the kids is like my little one's 6 and she wants to fast, but obviously next to impossible for her, but also at the age that we wouldn't want her to do it. But we do what's called like a half, we make it up like a half fast for her. It's like, oh, you can only eat with one half of your mouth.
Oh, cute.
And she's sitting there, she's like, it's really hard to do that. Like, the food's going on to the other side. It's like, yeah, keep going. Or it's like, oh yeah, you can fast until like 9 o'clock in the morning, because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. She wakes up on a Saturday and she goes, all right, I'm going to do that. It's great. And then 9 o'clock, she's stuffing her face with as much as possible.
Sweet.
That's so cute.
Cobs, what's the funniest thing you've heard?
Definitely the not even water. I've just heard it so many times over the years. It's basically like a running joke at this point. If someone doesn't say it, I'd be concerned.
So I just want to be clear. You guys don't even have water, right?
No water, no medicine, no cigarette, nil by mouth.
No.
By mouth.
I do think it's important though to emphasize that there are always exceptions. Like, I think that's where the question comes in, where they're like, oh my gosh, you're pregnant or you're breastfeeding, and it's like, no, like the plant, like the whole purpose of it is not, it's actually not to be a burden on you. It says that it's like in the Quran, I think it says that it's like good for the soul. Like, it is supposed to be good for you to like fast and do all this stuff and partake in the month of Ramadan. But if you are like on medication, diabetic, pregnant, breastfeeding, like this does not apply and you will not be penalized. I think that's where people get very hung up on, thinking that we're like torturing ourselves for the month, and that is not true.
Now, obviously, Ramadan's an annual event. Guys, we're not going to Google the answer for you. You can Google it yourself as to why that changes. Lunar calendar is involved. There's the spoiler, but I'm sure you can all work that out. This is not to tell you the facts about behind it. This is to give you the human insight. So annually, is it the same or is it different? Talk to us a little bit about how this Ramadan might feel different from years gone by.
I think every Ramadan is different because of that fact that, the lunar calendar, so it changes in the time of the year, right? I think there's going to be a year 2035 or 2040, which one is it, that we're actually going to see 2 Ramadans in the same year because of the way it cycles. So, yeah, looking forward to that one. Summer fasts are always way more difficult than winter fasts or spring fasts, and they can be really challenging, because you could be starting at 2-3 o'clock in the morning and ending at 9 o'clock at night. So that's like, wow, really, really tough. I think this year, just generally, obviously the political environment, the geopolitical environment, what's happening, right? It's just, it's an interesting one. There's a spotlight, you could say. And I think the response has been great from the Muslim community. We are definitely stronger. We're more of a community, and there's a lot more support. The mosques are busier. People are more active. I just think it's been a really strong spirit this year. I don't know, Mira, if you guys are seeing it in terms of like you're on your own, right? So you might have a different experience.
I actually agree. I think because of things like social media, even when you don't have a physical community around you, you feel the online presence, as in everyone's in the same boat, everyone's got the same goals this month, the same struggles in some sense. For me, it feels like every year is different depending on where I am in life. So, and it's not really something I can understand until the end of the month, and I can reflect and really think about what this month has done for me. So this year, for example, I felt like I could actually give up control, as in let go of the things that I can't control and actually trust in something that's bigger than me. I don't feel like I really felt that over the last few years, and this year I have.
Wow.
It's a great answer. I don't know if I can follow up with that. I know, very deep. I think just quickly, I know we're at time. I would just say to Asim's point, like the geopolitical nature of what is going on with the broader community, we refer to it as the Ummah, which is like one community of the Muslim, is obviously in a very precarious situation in certain parts of the world. And I think what has felt different in particular kind of for last year and this year is I've had friends of mine that are Muslims but haven't done Ramadan maybe in a while, and given some of the nature of like what has been going on with our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world, have been like, wow, if they can be in those circumstances and fast, like what is my excuse? And so a lot of them have sort of come back around. I've also been on TikTok and seen, and maybe it's just my algorithm, so I don't know if this is true, but like a lot of interest in the Quran, like random like influencers are reading it and trying Ramadan and like fasting, and like I've seen a lot of like, we call them reverts when you convert. Like I feel like there has been a peak maybe just given the geopolitical landscape and what is Islam and what does it mean. So I think what's been beautiful for me is to see friends who maybe haven't always been fasting but now are again, just given what has been going on in the world. So that has felt special in this Ramadan in particular.
Wow.
I think if I just to add one more thing, my social feed is full of hacks on the best iftars or what food you should have to energize you. I've never seen it so much as I have this year, and just tips on what to eat, when to eat, like how to eat it, like how to prepare your food. It's actually been quite fun. Obviously the diversity of the food, right? With Islam and Muslims, you could come from anywhere in the world. So to hear what people eat or decide to eat around the world, it's like, what? I would never do that.
Do you know what? This has been such an enjoyable 20 minutes with you guys. I have learned more about what is not really just a religious observance, it's really a spiritual journey for the three of you. You all have such different motivations and have clearly taken such different things from this year's Ramadan as you have previous years. Thank you so much for telling such a personal story, helping our broader global community understand really what gets under the skin of such an enormous moment that happens around the world with one of the biggest religions in the world. And now I think everyone can walk away from this having a little bit more empathy, a little bit more respect for everything that you guys put yourselves through during Ramadan. And hopefully next year, people will be a little bit more aware of the challenges you face, especially as those special time zone challenges. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us.